Welcome to Sounding Board. This is a weekly television program completely produced and directed by club members of Seroptimus International of Novato. Our mission, the mission of the Seroptimus organization, is to help improve the lives of women and girls, both globally and locally. With that in mind, we are especially thrilled today to have a program about the Gilead House, which is right here in Novato. This is one of our primary targets to help fund and support here in Novato. You might be thinking, the Gilead House, what is it? We don't even know about it. And the reason is because most of the time it's very private and somewhat secretive. So with that, I am especially proud to be able to introduce to you Jacque McLaughlin, who's the Executive Director of the Gilead House. So welcome, Jacque.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much.
Good. Well, tell us, Jacque, what is Gilead House? What's it all about?
Well, Gilead House is a transitional home for homeless moms and kids located in Novato. We've been around since the late 1990s, and we're really about bringing hope to women and children in need by providing transitional housing and the life skills education that they need to basically change their lives so that they can have a better quality life for them and their children. Transitional home is different than a crisis shelter. You've heard of domestic violence crisis shelters. We're not a crisis shelter which is totally secretive in the community. Gilead House is kind of that next place, a transitional home. And this is where a mom comes when she's actually ready to make some changes in her life so that she can go on to have a better life.
So you did hint at it. It is somewhat secretive though, isn't it?
Yeah, the women that come to Gilead House, many of them have had domestic violence situations in their past, or they've come from other situations that we don't really want to disclose where they live. So we ask our moms that come to the house that have those situations to not tell anybody where they're at and not disclose the address. So it's not 100% secretive in the truest traditional sense, but it is somewhat, because we want to protect their safety. We want to make sure that the home is a very safe place for them to live.
You certainly don't go out and do public relations campaigns about where you are.
No.
Right. Okay, good. Well, the Gilead House that I'm very familiar with now is the brand new one. It's really been an exciting event for the community at large. So tell us how that all came about.
Well, Gilead House for the last 10, 12 years has been serving 3 families, and so 3 moms and their kids would live at Gilead House. We were renting property at the time, and the board had this vision of moving into our own home and expanding services. In Marin County, as is true in other counties, one of the single biggest growing populations of the homeless population are single women and their children.
Wow.
You know, with the economy, with job loss, women maybe going through divorce or domestic violence situations, or maybe they've just made choices in their life that they shouldn't have, and they're now ready to change. So we felt the really strong need to expand the services for women so that we could help more women, and maybe even offer some services for women that don't live there, so we could really make a bigger impact, because we really want to end this cycle of poverty and in the brokenness of families. So we want to do that one family at a time. So this vision to move into a new home started, well, the vision started way back, but we actually started the process about 2.5 years ago. And we built this place in about 14 months, raised dollars. I think it's like about a $2.5 million project. And one of the ways that we raised dollars was to offset some of the cost by donations of goods or services in the construction area. And I can't tell you how exciting it was to see more than 50 businesses come and do things like donate the roof, donate the labor to put the roof on, donated tiles. Somebody came in and donated plumbing services. We had we have tiles or pavers all the way around the house, and we had somebody that came in and laid those pavers one by one by one. That was all donated services. So it became a true product of the community, and so as a result, it's not quite as private as it was, because we're actually right, in the downtown area. We're right around a lot of businesses, and people have come to know Gilead House as a result of the house. We moved into the house in July, and almost everything in that house has been donated. We have, it's the most beautiful home you've ever seen. It's
it is beautiful.
Over 5,000
and I'm
square
proud
feet.
that our organization, our little Novato Club, was able to completely furnish the kitchen appliances. That was, I'm really proud of us.
The kitchen is a place, everyone that comes in there wants to do cooking classes in the kitchen, or come and do, just come into the kitchen. It's such an exciting place, and we actually we were so excited about the opportunity to partner with the Seroptimist on putting in the kitchen appliances. It's all state-of-the-art kitchen appliances, because I really believe in treating everybody with dignity and respect, and I think if we do that on an ongoing basis, that does create changes. And that also means that the environment that we create for people that are trying to get their lives back together needs to be done in the best way that we possibly can, and I think Gilead House has done that. Great.
So what do you actually do for the women and the girls? The women and the children, I mean.
Yeah, well, this really is about the woman, the mother that comes to the house doing for herself. So when a mom comes into the house, what we do is to help her to set her goals. So the woman, she'll come in and she sets her own goals, all leading to a more independent life. So we hope that by the time she's finished with her stay there, that she's able to move into her own housing, that she has a job, that her child care is all in place, and that she could become more self-sufficient, that maybe she's learned better parenting skills. So all those things go into Gilead House, and she sets her own goals. Maybe she moves in and a lot of our women don't even have their GED. So obviously you can't be economically self-sufficient if you don't have, a high school diploma or your GED. So we will work with her to kind of help her get that. The exciting part of this is that when she sets her goals, and we know that she's really ready to do those things, Gilead House will pull out all stops to help give her the support that she needs to meet those goals. And so that could be tutors on the GED. It could be someone coming to help her with her budget or her savings. It could be parenting. When she's at the house, she also has a volunteer that walks alongside her that we call her mentor. And the mentor is just an additional level of support for that mom while she's there.
So you have a lot of volunteers who work with the program.
Oh yes, a lot of volunteers.
And so there are lots of things for the volunteers to do.
Oh yeah, volunteers, we don't have a lot of staff at the house, and so we really...
what kind of staff do you have? Who do you have for staff?
Well, there's myself, and then I have what we call family advocate, and the family advocate provides case management services. So she helps the mom set her goals, helps track her progress, and then as she moves along, she also helps link her with services in the community. So if she needs counseling services, if she needs to get linked up, say like she wants to take a college class or some other things, she helps link through and helps her problem solve as well. Mm-hmm. We hope when the mom leaves that she has a support system out in the community, because that will really help her to be more successful. So there's that.
There's you and the advocate.
Yeah, and then we have a house manager, and the house manager lives on site in a 2-bedroom apartment, and her role is really providing for the health and safety of the house. So it's the home maintenance, it's supervising the chores, it's...
and all the women have chores to do then?
All the women have chores to do there, yeah. So Gilead House is, it's not like an institutional setting. It's really like a home, and so we try to create a home atmosphere in the house itself.
So 3 of you do all this then, huh?
Well, we do some of it. Part of our role is to bring in the community to help.
But only 3 staff. Just
and then I have a bookkeeper.
Oh, okay, okay.
So.
Oh, that's. But you pay her? Is she volunteer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she puts in most of our folks put in a lot more hours than they get paid for.
Yeah, probably so.
But yeah, so we had a lot of volunteers. So we have volunteers that come in and help, like with the new house, you know, with putting in the landscape or maintaining the landscape.
I have to ask you though, were those pumpkins, those huge pumpkins, were they really grown there, or did somebody come by and put them there one night?
I think we had really good fertilizer. We planted those plants, I think it was like in May or June, right before we moved in, and the pumpkins grew, the squash grew, and so the moms were able to pick the squash and eat the squash right from our own garden right away, and it attracted a lot of attention in the neighborhood. You know, moms coming by in strollers with their kids, and
that was clever.
Culminated in pumpkin carving, and so we have these two. I mean,
so that was the pumpkin. It actually grew there. That huge pumpkin.
It actually grew there right at the very beginning.
It's a beautiful pumpkin. Well, what kind of a mom is a good candidate for Gilead House?
Well, this would be a woman, I think, like I said before, that's really ready to make a change in her life. This is a woman that...
Which are primarily young women?
It's mostly young women, but not always. You know, I have a woman in the house right now that's in her 40s, her early 40s.
Really?
So, but mostly young, mostly women under 30. And this woman has to be ready to make changes. So we really look for... you know, looking at her life story and seeing, you know, is she really ready to make change, or is she just looking for a place to stay? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we are really a program that wants to help move that woman to the next place, so it's better for her and her children. So they really have to be ready, because when they come to Gilead House, it's a 12-month process, and we want, during that time, you know, jobs, budgeting, finance, all the things that they need to learn.
And they're supposed to leave at the end of 12 months. Do they stay longer?
Sometimes. Mostly it's 12 months. Some moms leave sooner, but about 12 months is the right amount of time. The women that come to Gilead House typically have had bouts of homelessness or are homeless at the time. And homeless could be sleeping on a friend's couch, you know. And so this is where you have the mom and her kids all sleeping on the couch. That's the life. I had one mom that came to the house, and her daughter had never slept in a real bed. She was like 1.5 years old, and she'd taken naps in a stroller, because during the day the mom would be walking up and down the street with a stroller, and so that child never had a bed. So it's really important that they're ready to make those changes, and we kind of look at that. So sometimes they might come out, they might have had a past chemical dependency issue, they might have had, you know, other choices, you know, other things that have created, you know, maybe they lost their job, or they went through a divorce and now they have no place to live. So we are really there to kind of support them to get to the next place.
Well, I know you've had a lot of successes, a tremendous amount of successes, or the community wouldn't be behind you like it is. But once in a while there might be a failure, or woman who is not the perfect match. And how do you sense that, and what do you do about it?
Well, we try to do an interview process that sort of gets to that motivation. And the process, we do a phone screening first, then we have an in-person interview, and then we have another interview at the house to see if, you know, this woman is able to live in a communal living situation. Because you can imagine, you know, being an adult woman with kids, moving into a house with other adult women and children, that it's not really all that easy to live in that environment. So we have to assess whether they're able to do that, whether they can comply with the rules of the house, which we don't have a lot, but we do have things like a curfew. And the reason we have curfews is because it's so incredibly important for those children to have structure. And when they first come to the house, even if we had absolutely no program, the fact that the kids can come in and they have their own bed to sleep in, they have a regular meal time, they have a regular bedtime, it changes everything for that child, just that alone.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it's just incredible.
So do you ever ask anybody to leave, or has it ever been a...
Well, yeah, there have been times. I mean, we want to we care about the health and safety of all of our women. And so if we have a safety issue, or we have, you know, somebody that maybe took drugs, then they would be asked to leave the house immediately. Sometimes a mom will move in and we just find that she's just not not ready. She does, she doesn't really want to, she's not ready to make those changes. And so in that case, we would just say, maybe it's not right now, but come back later.
Interesting. Okay.
And I was talking to a former mom who had left the house early, and at the time it was a safety issue. And I continued to kind of text her every once in a while just to kind of keep in touch, and she never responded back. And oh gosh, it was like a couple weeks ago, I connected with her because when she was at the house, we had done goal sheets so that she would be working on her goals, and she says, could I have one of those? I think it would really help me. And this mom had a little boy who was just absolutely precious, and she has a job, she has childcare for her child, and she's living on her own. So even though she didn't complete her stay, there were still some things that she got at Gilead House that she was able to kind of put into play. And I really believe we're seed planters. So we don't necessarily control the outcome of what happens, but we plant those seeds, and at some point in time we hope they take root. Now most of the time, it can take a good 6 months sometimes for the mom to just realize that she can actually have a better life. I remember one of our moms who told me that she had been, as she's out in the community, she says, I used to look at families sitting in restaurants or at the park or at school, and I used to think that I could never have that kind of life. And she says, now that I've been at Gilead House, I see that I actually can,
Oh my
and
gosh,
of course, anytime someone says that to you, it just brings tears to your eyes.
Right.
Because it's just that little seed of hope. And once that little seed's planted, we just hope it continues to grow.
And that's why we're calling the program today, Gilead House, a place of hope. It all comes together. So I know that I've been over there and volunteered to do a workshop for the women on job skills, job getting skills and interviewing and things like that. What other kind of issues and workshops are covered for the girl? What kind of learning takes place for the women?
Well, we have basically kind of 4 modules of training. They have life skills classes every Wednesday night, and they cover education and employment. They cover budget and finance is really big because if you can't manage your dollars and you don't have savings, you're not going to be able to be successful out in the world. So we do a whole finance budget. Each woman, we ask them to save 50% of their disposable earnings. So we try to get the savings going, and and if they get off track, because frankly, with this economy, some of our women are working X number of hours, and then their hours get cut, and so there's a lot of up and down in terms of how the jobs go. So we try to work with them on budgeting and finance. Parenting skills are really, really important. It's hard to concentrate on being a parent when you're homeless. And it's hard to concentrate on much of anything when you have no regular place to live or stay. So the parenting skills. And then we work on other personal goals that include things like nutrition, health and safety, and then of course the Seroptimists are going to be working with us on our nutrition education, and we're really excited to start that.
Yeah, that's so good.
Health and safety, some of those social emotional things, like maybe it's like tonight our life skills class is on the difference between wants and needs. So try to do some conversations around that, and then once a week they also meet. The house manager conducts a meeting, which is all about the house and maintaining the house and living together. And so in all those things there's education going on, whether it's working with volunteers. Some of our moms work with us at events, or they were helping us stuff envelopes, and we try to get them involved as much as possible with other people in the community so that they can see that there's life after Gilead House.
So what happens to the little kids who are in the program? What kind of a program is there for them? And do they have to start in a new school district and all that kind of stuff when they move to Gilead House?
Well, all the kids are enrolled in local schools. So when they move to Gilead House, they would attend the local schools. In some cases, they are already going to those schools. In some cases, they're not. If they're little tiny ones, they might enroll in Head Start or some other preschool. A lot of them are in the Head Start program. So so child care is a part of it.
So Jackie, what have you learned over all these years?
Oh, gee. One of the things I've learned is that I I think you often have to pull back, and you know, it's really easy to judge. It's really easy to look and say, oh man, you really screwed up. But then I know I've really screwed up in my life at different points in time, and so you have to kind of pull back and try to see the heart of where this woman is coming from. You know, some of them have great personalities, great sense of humors, and others of them don't. And I think our call at Gilead House is to love them all unconditionally. So, and to meet that mom where she's at. So not necessarily where you'd like her to be or you think she should be, but to meet that mom where she's at.
That's a real hard job for you, Jackie, and your staff. A real hard job. Do you have any like vignettes of moments that kind of pull at your heart and keep you going with all this?
Well, I think anytime you listen to the mom's stories and they share something about maybe what they've gotten out of Gilead House. I had a mom that when she was really young, her parents were both drug addicts and introduced her to drugs when she was 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
And by the time she was about 10 and a half, this young woman, this little girl at the time, felt like she had to support herself because her parents were always drugged out. And actually her mom had actually left the home, so it was with her dad. She was selling drugs on the street to support herself at 10 and a half years old. So, you know, when you begin your life like that, when you don't have any parental engagement, nobody to help you, you're kind of off on your own. You learn to be kind of tough. And, you know, she experienced molestation, and later on as a teenager she was sexually assaulted. And at some point in time, as a teenager, she also had her first child. And she ended up with 2 children and had a very major drug addiction problem. Her daughter encouraged her to go into rehab. And here's her 10-year-old daughter saying, "Mom, you got to get help." And she did. And
Maybe she heard voices of herself from the past.
I think so, and she was absolutely committed to be drug-free, and we require that they have sobriety for 12 months, and really want to support them in that. So she came to Gilead House, and she told her story recently at an event we had, and she said the one thing...
Was that the West Winds Winery?
Yes, it's our Flights and Bites event.
And they're a very good organization at supporting you all,
yes,
too.
They do. Yes,
oh, yeah,
yes,
they
do. They support us.
Sorry, I just had
That's
to,
okay,
I remember
yeah.
hearing her story.
So she, one of the things she said at the end, they said, well, you know, what did you learn, or what have you taken away from Gilead House? And she says, well, being at Gilead House taught me to become a mom, how to be a mom. And you know, I hear those things, and it just, I don't know. Even when I just say it, it just brings tears to my eyes. So you know, that's one story.
So what keeps you there?
I am committed to families and restoring families, and it's such a huge problem. It's so huge, and it's so difficult for families, especially that fall on really tough economic times, or if you have a major issue that happens in your family and you're out there. I mean, we all could be there. So I'm just committed to restoration of families, and it's not something that's going to happen all at once. And if you look at the huge problem, you might just pull back. But if you can make a difference one family at a time, and that family then makes those changes, you know, we can really make a difference here.
Well, now you've had incredible support from the community. Is there anybody special that you'd like to thank for all the work that they have done for you?
Oh, wow. Well, of course, the Seroptimists have been longtime partners of Gilead House, and we just so appreciate that. The Marin Community Foundation has been a big support to Gilead House. My board of directors, phenomenal board of directors that are just absolutely committed to this cause, and their vision and their leadership have made such a difference. I really want to give them a lot of credit. You know, the community has just been, there's so many in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many businesses that have helped and supported us. I mean, it's just been
I thought
incredible.
of that question when I was thinking of West Winds Winery,
Yeah.
because I think all of their profits go directly to you, don't they?
Yeah, their proceeds of the winery sales go to support Gilead House. There's just no greater gift. I mean, they're so committed to the cause, and and that's what it really takes. It takes people that are passionate about making a difference, and if we get enough passionate people around to make a difference, we can change the world. Just one thing at a time.
Now you're looking at a television audience here today, and if you were to invite somebody to think about maybe helping you somehow, how would you invite them to help you?
Well, Gilead House, we just recently expanded services, so we're now serving 6 families. And so, obviously we're always looking for people that have the heart to support us financially, because our budget certainly has increased. But it's the volunteers that are the lifeblood of Gilead House. So whatever gift someone has, whatever passion you have, if you come to Gilead House, I will find a way to use that. So it could be, it could be teaching a life skills class. It could be administrative work. It could be teaching cooking or parenting, or one of the, the life skills classes we have. Maybe you just like to do project work and come, and you might want to come stuff envelopes or help us with some of the gardening, or you may want to help at an event. I mean, the events are really fun to help at.
The fundraising events, you mean?
Yeah, they're really fun. They're a lot of hard work, but it's such a great group of people to be around. I mean, you just would get such fulfillment out of that. So there's that. There's service projects at the house, people to help move furniture, people to help, like say at Thanksgiving or other, Christmas or other times that we have at the house, where they can kind of help hang lights or change light bulbs.
Last week when I was over there at the Gilead House, you had just been donated a beautiful conference table.
Yes.
That was fabulous. What other kinds of things would you be wanting, maybe?
Well, we probably our biggest need right now is we have a lot of women and children at the house, and we don't have, we would benefit from a table. We need a dining room table that's big enough to seat the majority of the women and kids at the house. So.
I was wondering about drapes, because the noise level there, when all the kids are there, the noise level gets so high, it seems like you need some sound absorbing something. And I know drapes don't seem like a very essential thing, but it seems like it might be calming to have a little bit of something more fabric around to absorb some of the sound.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think, as we've moved into the house, we've been trying to kind of let it settle and kind of see what it really needs, and that could certainly be one of them, because deadening the sound is important.
Yeah. Well, maybe they could send you an email or go to, is there a website that you have?
Yeah, it's gileadhouse.org. It's really easy.
Gileadhouse.org. And how do you spell Gilead?
Gilead house, HOUSE.org.
No spaces, no hyphens.
No spaces,
like
no we're simple.
Great. And they could go there, and then they could maybe send you an email and say, hey, I have such and such, or I'm willing to donate such and such, and would you be willing to accept that as an offer?
Sure. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Oh no, I'd love to hear from folks, and we sit down with people that want to volunteer and figure out kind of what is it that they'd like to volunteer for. They want to take care of the children. Do they want to do? Would they like to do some other things? Would they like to be a mentor for one of our moms? So there's a lot of things that they can do.
Well, Jackie, I think our time is up, but you've been a wonderful guest here, just fabulous, and I'm so proud to be able to be part of what you're all about.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate being here.
Good. So thank you, the audience out there watching our program, and I do hope you get in touch with Jackie over at the Gilead House. And thank you also, Novato Public Access Television, who's been supporting Sounding Board for, I think, 20 years now. And thank you, the Seroptimus crew, for all your work around here. You're all over the place for putting together yet another good show. So thank you.